All right, welcome to Bubba's World's first podcast episode. We're going to be talking about the Second Amendment and, all the debate about it. And it states a well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So we're going to be talking about that and gun control, what it means to certain individuals that we will be introducing here in just a moment, that are live on our Discord, and we got a good bunch of people here, and we're gonna have some interesting views, I would assume. So um, let's introduce the our some of our viewers that are participating, and we'll give a shout out to Allie, and she's in there, and Chris. I don't remember Puff is in there. Taylor, Tux, and Vinny. So right there, we got a good bunch of people. They have their different views. They could be for or against. Let's see what some of let's get things going and see what they think. We're gonna start off with Allie. Allie's gonna be our first one, I believe.
Oops,
Hi, Allie.
but hi.
Welcome to Bubba's World podcast. And as we were talking with the Second Amendment, our right to bear arms, and also on maybe today's gun control laws. Should we be tightening them up, or making them more strict, or is it good the way it is?
Just a fair warning, my voice is gonna be a little harsh, a little rash due to
That's all
that
right.
little concert that I was at yesterday.
Yes,
So
yes, that's right.
last week.
So first of all, to what I've some of the stats that I've looked up, approximately 270 million people, civilians, actually own firearms in America. That's pretty wild. And then also it says 200,000 women times a year, 200 times a year, 200,000 times a year, women use a gun to defend against sexual abuse. And then one more fact I wanted to throw out there: they polled felons, and 3 out of 5 said they wouldn't mess with anybody that had a gun. So, anybody, what are your thoughts on all that?
I think that if you own a gun, you're safer off, especially somewhere in public or someone's breaking your house. If you're not going to defend yourself if they have a gun, and you got a gun, you're chilling. You know.
All right, so yeah, you're
Yeah, but
talking
that's
about self defense, but are you okay? You have the gun, but are you self defense? But are you there to kill them, or at least scare them off, or are you?
I'll do whatever I can to protect my
Yeah,
family
I mean,
and my
it's more
life.
you're using the gun to disable them. If that means killing them, it means killing them, right?
Right, right. I understand that, but you're not out to hey, you're shooting. I'm going to kill you. But you're
Yeah.
you're just trying to disable them, or whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, if it kills them, it kills them. But they're threatening my life. They're threatening my family's life. It's gonna happen.
Okay.
which I am all for concealed carry as long as you go through the proper loop.
Well, that's the only way you can get a concealed carry. So.
Concealed carry. That's a interesting
Well,
fact.
there's concealed carry and then there's illegal concealed carry.
All right. So what it
Well,
says,
how exactly? But
concealed carry in America. Okay. So there was an analysis of the FBI crime statistics about concealed carry laws. It has reduced murders by 8.5%, rapes by 5%, aggravated assaults by 7%, and robberies by 3%. So that's what with the concealed weapons. Now there was
and
you
is
have
that just concealed carry? Because there's
that's
open
we're just
carry
talking
and
about the
stuff.
concealed only, the carrying.
All right. Okay.
Um, but there was you're talking about public, the mass shootings and stuff with
I have a
people.
question
Yeah,
about that real quick.
go ahead,
With
talks.
the concealed carry, how do they know it's a direct correspondent to the fact that they have a concealed carry or not?
I don't know the answer to that, but
My assumption would be it'd have to do that the crime was stopped by someone with a concealed carry. That's my assumption. But
Yeah, because there's the okay. What the way that I was replying to him, if my brain wants to work right now, um, he was saying how they would be having their guns to protect, aka concealed carry, to protect anybody who's trying to harm them or their family while outside of their house, which is concealed carry.
Right. So now they were saying about with the concealed carry when it was in gun-free zone, and they say real strict, okay, that didn't have the gun-free zone. There was just one exception. Every public mass shooting in the USA since 1950 has taken place where citizens are banned from carrying guns. Despite strict gun regulations, Europe has had three of the worst six school shootings.
yeah, that's the point. The criminals are obviously are not going to listen to the sign that's posted up there. I
Right, and
mean, if,
then
if
you
they're
know
going
they're
to
like,
do
oh,
bad, they're going to go in and do
nobody's
bad.
going to have
There's
guns
no
here
doubt
because they're all banned. Yeah, we'll take advantage of
that-
that.
A,
that's
sign,
the
a sign
thing.
isn't going to do anything. Exactly.
Yeah, but that's
For a
also the
criminal.
thing. Like, if they ban guns, that means the general public can't have access to them. But a criminal will get a gun anyway. And,
Exactly.
Right.
It'll come off a ship from anywhere.
I agree on that. Um,
There's
anybody?
even prop guns almost that can be bored out and used as guns. So I actually watched a documentary on that.
Allie?
So that's another way.
There's also 3D printed guns for one-time use.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
that's a whole new ball game now. Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah,
Needless to say, if a criminal wants a gun, there are ways to get a gun.
Yes.
So they don't need to
Exactly.
make the laws harder for regular law-abiding citizens to be able to get guns.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, like, should anybody be able to have a gun? Does it? Is there a where you would call? Let's draw the line. You know.
Restriction.
Yes.
Okay, what age? How about that?
Anyone who's been
18.
in jail for violent crime should, and then people who have really bad mental health problems. No, I'm not saying like people who like minor, they shouldn't be allowed, but like really bad ones.
Okay,
Yeah,
Taylor.
like schizophrenia, such as that. Yeah.
Okay, when you say children, you're saying 18, but
Even
that's
like-
really an
even like
adult.
they
Now, there are some states, I believe, what, 8 years old somewhere. I read, and unfortunately, it was an unfortunate accident. They were at a gun shooting range. You probably heard this story before, and the instructor, I think she was 8, and it was legal, and he was having her shoot off a Uzi. And so she, let up one. And then
Yeah.
when she went to do it
Oh,
again,
yeah.
and it went up and then it shot him in the head. But and he died, unfortunately. But it was an unfortunate. But 8 years old, why are you trying to show some 8-year-old how to shoot a Uzi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a little like almost
That
overkill
was-
on trying to teach them that. Like
Yeah,
at like
that
a
was
full-out-
more. That was the wrong gun, probably the wrong age. Maybe not the wrong
Or
age.
the wrong,
you know, like,
the wrong parents.
Yeah, like if maybe not the wrong age. I mean, like I think if you gave an 8-year-old a 22 and you were really safe about it, I'm sure you could teach them how to shoot. But
Oh, definitely 22. Yeah.
definitely unsafe about it, and the parents weren't teaching them. And the instructor was. She
Yeah.
probably wasn't comfortable, like getting hands on with the kid. So.
Well, I'm saying if I was a parent, I would never give my 8-year-old an Uzi.
Well,
I
yeah,
agree
no,
on that.
I'm
I'll
saying
have to
not
agree
an
on
Uzi
that.
At all. I'm saying
Yeah.
that was the wrong gun too, for sure.
That's more.
Well, I would think, say a minimum age at 12 or 13. That's you're starting
Depends
to
on the
understand.
gun.
And the age, yeah, I'm curious, but 12 or 13 for the age of to what? To shoot a gun?
To allow to be to shoot a gun in like like a range or something.
range.
Controlled
Environment,
environments.
exactly, Tux.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
and
mean,
I feel-
like,
I'll tell you the truth. When I was a young kid, now we're in a different era, and I grew up in the country and on a rural farm and everything. And back then, we had our 22 rifles and pistols and stuff like that. And back then, it wasn't like today. It would go, hey, Dad, I'm gonna go out into the fields and I'm gonna take a 22 and so a box of bullets and I'm gonna go out shooting targets or try to shoot a woodchuck or something out of the field. But that and they were like, okay, well, make sure you're back by supper time. We'd be off and doing our thing. But today's
I definitely think it has to do with the caliber of the gun. My little brother, he's 6. He shot a 22 before.
Yeah,
There's
I think that's
definitely
way too young.
there was definitely enough supervision, and he wasn't just shooting it by himself. There was another hander on the gun, and I think that if parents are comfortable with it, I don't think especially for a caliber of a gun like the Uzi, I think that was extremely stupid. But
Yeah.
I think
got
it
shot.
shot.
I
Yes.
think I was probably 9 or 10. I shot my uncle's AK. That was fun. But what happened was, so I held the gun, and then he wrapped his arm around my right arm and his arm around my left arm, and basically held the gun around my hands. Right? There's a proper way to teach someone how to hold the gun. Now the instructor was kind of just standing there, not even holding her hands,
Right.
if I remember correctly. So I think it was more of an improper way to teach.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I mean, it's sad that he died, but it was his fault, honestly.
Yeah, it was a mistake. But anyways,
Yeah.
back on the okay, we've got the age. I still say, if I was personally, I could say it would be around 12. But that's everybody has their own opinion. But on that. But here's the other thing: guns. Let's talk about the gun itself. Why do you need such a very powerful caliber? Why don't we settle on a 22 or something like that? That'll still defend yourself.
Because the whole reason the Second Amendment was involved
To
was
defend
the fact
yourself from tyranny.
from the government. Yeah. So if they have high caliber weapons, we need to have high caliber weapons if we ever need to rebel against them.
So we better go out and get our
That's-
tanks and stuff, right, Tux?
And I mean, the Constitution hasn't been amended for years,
Well,
and so
hundreds of years.
these rules that people try to loophole through, and they're trying to say that you can't have high caliber weapons and stuff like that. This thing was created when we had muskets.
Yep,
When
exactly.
it took 10 minutes to load one bullet, or however long. I don't know. I've never messed with a musket, but I mean, the rules are there, but you need to fix it with today's society,
Right.
not back when we had muskets and cannonballs.
I mean, back then there were actually some pretty potent firearms. There were multi-barreled revolvers and stuff like that. You could actually get a lot of rounds down range. It was more of just tinkering.
It's much different with ARs though. So.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying though, it wasn't all just muskets and loading that long. Is what I'm trying to get across. It wasn't all old.
So I think
But
even
that also means that our government has those jungle weapons.
Well,
Yeah.
I also
they
think
have muskets.
if we see the government, even with the Second Amendment, there's no way they would ever allow a rebellion. You know that, and then so if we know that there's no way we can crush the government, then why do we need to have high caliber weapons on the
I
streets?
mean, it's happened before. I do think we actually can overthrow. It's not a crazy
look at
thing.
Vietnam for example. They only had rifles and look what they accomplished. I mean, I'm
Exactly.
not trying to say anything bad or anything.
That was just a
they did-
conflict. That wasn't a war.
Well, yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, the U.S. Army had the tanks, helicopters, everything, all the technology, and they still lost.
Yeah, they weren't prepared for that type of environment. That was their fault. That they didn't.
Yeah.
They just jumped right into it.
pretty much.
That's a learning mistake by the U.S. government. But yeah, still, do we really need high-powered caliber rifles and pistols? What maybe they
By
should
high
set
caliber,
a.
what do you
I'm
Well,
saying-
yeah, what do you define
classify
as
as
Like
high
what
caliber?
I would say, why? Okay, let's say everybody can have their guns or whatever, and but we can only say go to a 38 caliber, so or set it okay, and everything above that really you don't really need it. or even
Well, I don't know about caliber as much as how much the gun can hold.
well, you're talking about automatic. Now, there's another thing. Um, that you got all these assault rifles with and stuff with like magazines. How do you need 100 bullets in your gun to defend yourself? Or do you
You
just
should
need?
have.
You only
Are you allowed
need
to have
probably a
that?
dozen. You're probably against somebody's gonna attack you. You probably don't even need one. But I'm just saying, do you need to have all that firepower?
Well, it's not so much that you need it; it's more that you should be allowed to have it for any situation.
Okay. Anybody else want to pipe in?
I don't think you
agree
should.
with him on that one.
I don't think you should be allowed to carry them around like in your car, but I feel like in your house, if you're scared of your home being invaded and you want 100 rounds just in case.
Well, in your
Maybe
home.
when I
Okay,
think
okay.
of
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Let's. You're yeah, concealed. All right. Yeah, that's true. You're right. You're right. You get concealed.
But for walking around the streets, I
Yeah.
don't think you need more than like 12 bullets to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Probably don't even need one, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. You just brandish the gun. Okay, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, never mind.
Actually, there have been like a lot of stories where somebody's breaking into a house and somebody comes and like with a shotgun and they just keep going. Like they a lot of people aren't really scared by guns. Like actually,
Quick question.
Yes.
So I'm not a big gun person. Like I'm not a lot in what the heck brain work.
Educated on guns.
Yes, thank you. I'm not educated on this very well. So what is the process in being able to get a gun?
That's a good question because I really don't know that personally because I don't own a gun. My father
Okay.
owned guns, but not me.
I can give a pretty good. So I live in California, so maybe different in other states, but
Oh, I live 2 states above you.
I
have different ones.
I know. It's kind of the same in other states. It's a little different here, though. Basically, so you walk in, you say that you want a gun, and how it work in like most states is, they would look at your identification, and then they would go in the back, put in your information, look you up, make sure you have no outstanding like felonies or anything like that. And then if there's no like objections from the federal government or the
No red
state
flags.
laws,
Yeah.
no, if everything's okay, then if your background check goes through, then they sell it to you. Here
Okay.
in California, it's a little different. I'm opposed to it. Basically, how it works is so here you have to get you have to wait. I think it's like a month. You have to wait to get this little special card that says you're okay to own firearms, and then every time they still do the background check, and then you have to wait 10 days for it to clear, and then come back and get your gun, which is pretty annoying.
Yeah, I think some in the state I am, they have well, we're a conservative state. We're New Hampshire, so but they do have a strenuous background check. I knew my father, with trying to get other guns. Even though he had, well, let's see, he had he had about 6 assault rifles. Had about 5 pistols. He was an army man. He was a true American, true-blooded American. Believed in defending his home and everything. I mean, he didn't. Actually, he did have a concealed weapons, but he, I don't think he actually carried it that often. It was very, very, very. It was just he knew he had it if he needed it, but he wouldn't just take the just because he had the concealed weapon permit that he would take it and have that gun on him all the time. But he had it. But he knew about defending the home. He said, well, if they ever come here, they don't stand a chance. That was his way of thinking. And but yeah, they're pretty. I think they're pretty strict. Like you said, there's always a wait, at least 10, 15 days, I believe, in a lot of states. They do a lot of the background check. But there was actually one. The other day I was reading that somebody, I forget what state it was, but I'm gonna say it might have been in the Chicago area. There was a guy who got a hold of some guns. He was actually he had a criminal record down in Alabama, and then he got some guns, and he still was able to. They did the background, but the only reason they knew that he wasn't supposed to have guns because they don't when you do a concealed, some states you got a fingerprint, and they do it, but just getting a regular gun, they didn't do the fingerprint, so they didn't know that he was not allowed to have any weapons, and he was able to get a bunch of weapons. The only reason they found out he wasn't supposed to was when he tried to get a concealed weapons permit, and but the sad part was I forget what the crime was, but he ended up. I think he ended up killing somebody and himself. But the police never. Oh yeah, it was his wife and then himself. The police never went there to get his guns. They sent a thing saying you need to turn your gun, but they never followed up. They never followed up. And see, that was the bad on the police. They never followed up to make sure there was, they got all the guns from him. And then of course, unfortunate, he had I think it was a domestic violence thing. So yeah. Yes.
A little more conversation or confirmation on this education. So there's like amount of time that you have to be able to spend in like your whole lifetime shooting the guns that you're not going to make a mistake or anything. Like in a range or anything.
Well, yeah, you got controlled environments, and usually you're not going to have an accident. I mean, it's very rare, but obviously it has happened. And but yeah, I mean, even someone that had that's really experienced with guns. And here, this is another my father's story. When I was a young kid, he had his it was a shotgun, I believe, and my mom, she's like, put that thing. He was cleaning. He says, put that thing away. And he says, it's not. It's okay. It's not. It's not. So he pointed up towards the thing. Boom! There. He didn't check the chamber. There was one in the chamber, and he shot the door right out. I'll never forget that. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to my uncle. He was cleaning the guns, and it went off. And they're all huge gun people.
So I do want to add on to the mob. So first, I did research my state, Nevada.
Yep.
The mob. So first off, so for concealed permit, so the rules are you have to be 21 or 18 military. You have to complete an improved course for safety and being able to demonstrate that you're able to use it properly. However, one thing I did notice that was kind of a little suspicious, and something that is kind of weird considering Nevada kind of has some bad parts, especially where I live, is that they don't require registration of firearms. You don't have to register them.
Really? Here you got to.
Well, that doesn't mean that. Basically, how it works is that you're allowed to have depending on your state law, the federal law is that you can make a firearm. Like you can take a pipe, like a metal pipe, and make yourself a shotgun. Like
Or a 3D printer.
Oh yeah, 3D printer. But under federal law, that is allowed. That's only a state law thing with registration of firearms. Like California, they have a database of firearms. And that's more of a philosophy of if you catalog every gun, then none of it will be caught in a crime, right? But the thing is that most guns used in crimes aren't registered at all anyway, even if you have to, so there's really no point, because the only way you're going to register a gun is if somebody brings one into the state and goes up to you and registers it, or if it's bought in the state, which usually if it's illegal, it's going to be bought outside or bought illegally anyway.
Now, before you go any further, I have somebody in the stream, Mick Ho, thank you for the follow. He's English, and so he has an outside perspective on our Second Amendment, and he believes it's a phenomenal thing to have. He only wish that they were allowed to own a firearm. As you know, over there they're totally banned in the UK, and so they're not even allowed to defend themselves there, unfortunately. And it's true. I was reading the stat on that. They're not, that's one of the countries no guns allowed.
Totally banned everywhere in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Not allowed.
And only firearms.
Their crime rate is atrocious.
Okay. Let's get right into that. Okay.
Exactly. If you stop people from owning guns, is not going to stop them from knife attacks and that, and also they're still going to have illegal guns too. So
yeah, no, I always keep a knife on me. It's the safest for me.
let's.
Yeah, but what it was saying, if someone comes up to you with a gun, it's pretty much
All right. Okay.
you're
So
knife to a gunfight.
this is an older chart.
Literally.
What I was reading here.
Literally.
And it's an international comparison of gun-related killings as a percentage of homicides. Okay. So let's see. U.S. and this is 64%, which is happens. England, it's 4.5. England and Wales is 4.5%, but this is back in like 2016. Canada, 30.5%, and Australia, 13%. These are just some of the things that I was looking up. But that that's on who you're comparing stats. There's a lot of what do you call it? You want to propaganda, the one way or the other. But I also wanted to say one thing. I know you probably heard about this. In 1982, Kennesaw, Georgia, passed a law requiring heads of households to keep at least one firearm in the house. The residential burglary rate subsequently dropped 89% in Kennesaw, compared to just 10.4% drop in Georgia as a whole. Just in that one town or whatever, that area, I don't know.
So they were contributing to the county.
Yeah, 89% just in that, because it was required to.
Yeah, that's.
Today, the violent crime rate in Kennesaw is still 85% lower than Georgia's or the national average. And that's because it was mandated.
Which is smart, because then people who want to do crime like that, they're like, well, I know they have a gun, so let's not.
But Mishko says an 86-year-old man was arrested and sent to prison after he stabbed an intruder that fell through his kitchen roof. Because they can't allow guns, they stabbed him, but he still went to prison because the guy was. I don't know. I don't understand that one.
Yeah, that's.
Well, there has to be a background to that because people don't just send people away for self-defense. So there has to be a background.
Well, this is in the UK.
Actually, that does happen a lot. Like in California, if a guy comes up to you with a knife and you pull your gun out, and if you shoot them and they determine that you didn't have to, they'll arrest you.
Mm-hmm. And there's some places where if there's somebody trying to get into your house or like they're on your property or anything, they have to be through the threshold of your door in order for you to self-defend.
Yeah. Yeah, you just say, "Hey, you're on my property."
On the
Bang.
other side of that door, then you could be arrested, and if you kill them, you could get charged with murder.
You could,
even though they were on your property.
Yes, because it all depends, right?
That's why you go with just a flesh wound, enough to hold them down. Sorry.
You try not to. You're not. Your intent is not to kill. Well, see, that's the problem. Some people say, I got a gun. You come in here, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to make sure you're dead. So that's wrong.
No, you have
wrong
a gun.
thinking.
You're coming in here.
After
With
they
me,
shoot someone, they drag them into the door.
With me,
Okay.
it's I have a gun. Come in here. I'm gonna shoot you in the leg and then tend to your wound as I call 911.
But if
No,
they
'cause
keep,
if you
what if
do
they
that,
keep
then you could
advancing?
still get
What if?
charged with assault?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
what if
it's
they?
still-
Well,
You shoot to kill.
right. But here's the thing. I understand what the thing, and then say you're trying to. Okay, it was Allie, right? He's shooting them in the leg. What if they have a weapon? Then they're still coming out. That leg shot not gonna most likely not put them down if they have.
No, the leg shot's gonna hold them down long enough, and if they have a weapon, well,
If they
I
have
know.
adrenaline pumping, a gunshot to the
Yeah.
leg might not stop them.
No, that's exactly what I was gonna say. This
It depends on
adrenaline
what
takes
the-
over.
Obviously.
Because especially if you get okay, let's talk. Well, we're gonna mix. You got the ones that are in drugs, meth. Say meth
PCP
addict,
and
man.
stuff like
They
that.
get pumped. They get shot 6-7 times. They're still coming at you. I mean, the cops are shooting them. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, and he's still coming because all that adrenaline is just all they're just
the crack.
invincible. So
It's mainly
Well,
PCP that does
then
that.
it's like, I'm going to freaking block your freaking way into my freaking room.
Freaking.
Yeah, but in a self-defense situation like that, like if you take a self-defense class, they teach you to shoot for the chest. Like you can't really hit a leg shot. It's either not going to do anything
Exactly.
to actually disable them, or you're going to miss.
You want to shoot. You want to have a larger mass to shoot at. I mean, arm, head, even even a head or leg. Those are you have smaller chances of hitting that if you're especially if you have a handgun. So you want to aim for the biggest part that you can hit.
Also, shooting for the leg isn't very good for maiming people because their main artery is there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, you're not really, there's not really a lot of good places to shoot.
Shoot the main. Shoot the kneecap.
Also, if you shoot them in the leg, that bullet will travel through their leg, and if there is a person behind that leg, you could get in trouble for that as well.
Yeah. We talk about with the guns controls, and you get them all the it always hits the news, the mass shootings and stuff. But did you know of the total 33,594 who died in 2016, there were 22,938 suicides, 14,415 homicides, of which 71 died in mass shootings. So the mass shooting is such a low percentage that when it happens, but it's just like when an airline crashes, it makes big news because it was all at once. But it does. It's not as common as they think. They try to make it.
We could kind of start up a thing about arming people on school campus.
So the worst mass shooting. Okay, obviously Las Vegas, 2017, 58. Then there was Orlando, Florida, right before that with 49. And then there was a big gap, almost 9 years. Virginia Tech with 32. Then Sandy Hook right here in Connecticut in 2012, 27. Sutherland Springs, Texas. They had in 2017, 26. The Parkland, Florida one was 17. There's what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What did I say? 9 or 10 shootings and about 71 total. Something like that, anyhow. Well, no, because you can't count 27. That was from 2016, actually. So the 2017 after that, you would add 58, 26, and 17. So from 2017 through 2018 was pretty deadly.
Yeah.
But it's still a small percentage, though. What?
A good topic we can get into is arming people on school campuses.
Yes.
What is that? Army?
I actually did want to talk about that.
Arming
people, giving teachers guns and teaching
well,
them how
I
to
think
use
for the
stuff
teachers,
like
but not for the students.
Okay.
Students.
There's a.
I did want to talk about that because my school has a JROTC.
Yeah.
There, so a lot of the students there are taught how to use guns properly.
I still don't think you should give it to a student. I just feel like
the
teacher or hiring a police officer.
They're only given to the highest ranking people who have never broken any rules for seniors sometimes.
I still don't think you should give it.
Yeah, neither.
No.
Yeah,
I disagree. I mean, okay, let's see. ROTC. I guess if we're part of the ROTC, but I still don't think. Why do you need to carry your gun into class? I know. Some do the mass shooting, but the teachers, if they want to have a weapon to protect themselves.
I've been trying to speak this whole time too, so you're good.
They only give them when they're in JROTC. Any other classes, they don't have them.
No, I still don't think that's a good idea to give the kids guns on school.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust a lot of kids at my school with guns.
It still would only be a teacher thing. But the fact about that is, when the school shooting happens, you call the police. You call people.
Yeah.
And what do? They bring guns to kill that person or make him
And
surrender.
if they see anybody with a gun, it could be an accident. Yeah.
Exactly. So why wouldn't we just remove that step of having to call police, waiting for them to show up? And why don't we just have people armed there already to,
respond to the situation?
Exactly.
With
One at a time.
I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm not gonna be able to talk over people because of my throat. So I'm just gonna wait till there's an opening. So I'm gonna have to have an opening here.
So, Allie, you got something to say real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had a class that I took, and it's constitutional law and the criminal justice system and criminal justice. And I took those classes back to back, and the teacher had us do it. And the teacher is a retired police officer and DEA agent. So he has guns in his back room that he has locked up, but he's like at the college.
Okay.
So as long as the teacher has experience with military or police experience, then sure. But make sure that they have it locked up under lock and key and make sure they know exactly how to instruct the kids every single year and remind them like twice a year and do a little drill.
I was gonna say have a drill. Yeah.
Happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, if you're not a lot of teachers, maybe on some campuses, any teachers have military or law enforcement experience. I think
Right.
you should actually.
I hate to. I mean, there's always every single school that I've ever been to has had like 3 teachers who've had experience.
So if you live on, or
like
if you go to school on a campus that's pretty large, and
Yeah.
there's only 3 teachers with weapons, how are they going to defend someone on the whole other side of the campus? If
Right.
they're all on one side, or I feel like you should actually teach the teachers like
Yeah.
Have a course.
You
I
shouldn't
think-
have to have laws.
Yeah, I think
Could have like a
I mean,
teachers
most
with
likely
a designated, say you take 20 teachers, there's classes in all different parts.
One out of every.
or
section,
a couple
yeah.
out of each campus, because one of the ones gets taken down. You want to have backup, so have like 2 or 3, but have a course, and then they would be the first responders. But you've got one that's going to be help. You got to coordinate, and also that way when the authorities finally get there, everything won't be such chaos.
Yeah.
Even then, I can't remember what shooting it was, but the cop ran away. The cop got scared.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He didn't even do anything.
Oh, that was Parkland.
And yeah, and if you have teachers and
Panic,
every hall with a gun, they're kind of forced to do something because you got a classroom of kids. If there's somebody coming through the door.
Yeah. There was one, I forget. It was this one school, very small children, and basically they taught
Sandy
them
Hook.
that if there was an active shooter, instead of just running away or scattering whatever, they would run towards them and just grab onto them.
I don't know if that's the right thing to do. That's actually the wrong thing to do.
I mean, I'm not
It's
kidding.
a small sacrifice to make
Yeah.
And,
for the safety of others.
I know all the teachers there were armed with guns. I think it was like a little mini documentary.
Was he just shoot through the kids to get the guy?
No, like
Little
if
human
they were
shields,
saying,
it seems
if
like.
there's a shooter right there, if you'll run away, he'll probably be able to shoot you. If y'all run towards him and grab onto him,
You're giving that man armor.
Well, it's an overwhelming amount to him.
Yeah,
and he can't obviously kill everybody. So,
But no, not many kids are gonna do that, because you know what? I'm running. I'm sorry.
I have to
I'm
say,
not running. I'm hiding.
that
I'm too fat to run.
Hold on, let Allie talk here.
If there's kids on the person, like, I would say never to have that be a rule for the fact that those kids, if there's a lot of kids on there, the cops are going to have to figure a way around having to, if he's an active shooter, the cops are going to have to find out another way to stop him because their priority is to stop them, but also to make sure the kids are safe. So if there's kids on them, they have the possibility of probably hitting a kid, which is something you do not want to risk.
Yeah.
So they have protocol, but they can't do the protocol if there's a bunch of kids on the person.
Yeah, that's why you see when they come out of schools and stuff, they have their hands on their heads, or they want to make sure they don't have it, because when they get in, everybody on the floor. If you're standing up, you could be a target. So they'll have you
Yeah, so
Okay,
hit
you
the
got a
floor.
bunch of
Hit the
ROTC
floor.
kids.
Here's my opinion on that. So I don't know if y'all do this, but in our state we do lockdown drills.
Oh,
in our
yes.
schools, in
Yes.
all schools, elementary through high school. So
Even
I think what
colleges
they
now.
should do is, well, yeah, that too. I think they should
Well, I've been
take the
gone for
teachers
all but
to
2
the.
lockdowns.
Can I talk, please? I think teachers should be trained to use guns, and then when they go into that lockdown drill, obviously they stay in the classroom with their kids, so that way they can still protect those kids, but they can like wear a vest or something and stay in the classroom during the shooting. So if the police come in, they know if somebody has that vest on, that they're supposed to have a gun, that they're supposed to be in that situation, and that they're not confused.
Okay, so
And just train them during the lockdown, so that way everybody's trained up, everybody knows what they're doing, everybody is clear on the procedure.
Okay. What if somebody comes
Oh,
in
so
with
you're like-
has that vest, a terrorist? Said, "Oh, okay, this is what
So
they
you're
do."
like lockdown for the drills for the teachers.
Well, yeah, it
What?
should have. They should have, like I said,
Active
designated right to know. Like even a lot of workplaces now, because it also happens with workplace violence. We have lockdown procedures, and in fact, I'm one of the first responders on that for where I work. I had to go through the classes, and they made me, made me. I volunteered. I said, okay, I'll take the classes and do that. So you actually learn a lot about it, what to do, what the right thing to do, or give yourself a fighting chance. That's all you can ask for is have a fighting chance.
Exactly.
So
I have to say, I've been gone for all but 2 lockdown drills, and I've not been here for a lockdown drill at all this year. I'm a little concerned.
Follow lead everyone else, I guess.
all right, okay. We're talking. Let's go back to the gun control. I was just reading this little piece here. The city of Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the United States. So has this reduced crime? Of course not. The murder rate in Chicago was about 17% higher in 2012 than it was in 2011 when they made it really strict. So basically, they're like the deaths, the murders in Chicago. Just in the year 2012, there was more murders in Chicago than there was in the entire nation of Japan.
I'm a little concerned that how we require guns and the rates go down, but we ban guns and the rates go up. That's a little concerning.
Well, because we said earlier, the bad guys, they don't care. If you don't, they like it. Oh, good, they can't carry guns, but I'll carry the gun. I don't care what the rules are. I'll carry the guns and I'll do what I want. I'll rule the rules. But if there's allowed to have guns, no, I don't know if I want to take my own life in their hands.
That showed that actually 500,000 to over like 2 million crimes are stopped by guns each year, and like compared to how many like deaths are caused or crimes that are committed with guns, it's like a big difference.
And Chicago's a whole different story because a lot of that is also like the culture, the gang culture. And
that's right. That's because they made really, really strict gun rules too. But that's why that culture, the gang things, really built back up because they were under control for a while. But here's an interesting fact: the police department versus armed citizen. All right. There are 794,300 police officers total in the United States. That's give or take, There are 80 million gun-owning citizens. The error rate is about 11% for officers, and the error rate is 2% for armed citizens. Now, on the officer side, okay, when they are taking care of a crime, the average death of shooting rampage stopped by police is 14.3. For armed citizen that part of an active shooting or whatever, the average death of a shooting rampage stopped by a citizen 2.3. So 14.3 to 2. That's like what 12% different, or 12% difference. Police they kill 606 criminals on average each year, but a civilian though does kill 1,527 criminals each year. So they do kill more criminals than cops do, but
It's
on,
because the civilians are more like
they're right there.
there when the
It's
crimes
happening.
actually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting stat too.
That just goes to show that if you have a society that
What was that?
society that has
I don't know.
guns.
I'm sorry, I'm back. It's just my dog. I'm sorry.
If you have a society that has guns, it's gonna help.
But overall, I mean, does guns owning and bearing having the right to own and bear a gun make our country safer or more chaos than say okay, let's stop. No, everybody, if you're not an authority figure, you should not have a gun. Where do you weigh on that, Allie?
Don't start with me. I'm still thinking right now. I'm doing two things at once.
All right,
so,
I'll come back to you, Allie.
I mean,
All right. Chris, how about you?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question?
The question was, okay, do you think America would be safer if okay, we'll make it real simple. Do you think America would be safer if we banned all guns, or do you think we're safer if we have the right to bear arms? Should we take that away, or should we leave that in place?
Definitely keep it 100%.
I'd make it even more loose in some states too.
Yeah, probably like California where I'm at definitely needs to be looser.
Okay, you mean loosen their gun restrictions?
Well,
I would say to keep the right, but have a better like system in being able to get the gun.
Yeah.
Oh, to register and all that stuff.
Yeah. Don't ever do that again. I will kick you out of the channel.
For what?
what even was that? Anyway,
Oh, you know,
so-
my webcam mic switched to the Alexa. That was my bad.
So first of all, like in California, definitely like the wait time needs to be loosened. Like in almost every other state, you can buy it the same day, and here you have to wait 10 days. So that's.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one because sometimes we got to do a criminal back. I mean, we're getting better and better with I guess with our technology. Maybe it could be a little bit quicker, but I think you should still have a grace period, or maybe like 3 days.
Well, the background checks are pretty instantaneous. They don't take very long. So.
And then also, some guns here in California are just like outright banned. Like for example, like Colt AR-15, like they name ban that under like kind of a loophole where it's like, oh, this the manufacturer of this firearm isn't allowed for such and such reason, whatever. But they basically tried to ban it.
What category is that gun?
I don't know, rifle. I mean, if you would consider that an assault rifle, I guess so. But that's not really a correct term in like proper gun terminology.
Right. Tux, what's your take?
I believe that we should keep the Second Amendment and make it a lot easier for law-abiding citizens to be able to get guns.
Okay, so you want on the stance of loosening up the way the way we can
Very
purchase
much
a gun
because
and bear it.
criminals can get them any way
So-
they want to. As long as they have the money, they have
Okay.
access to anything they want.
What about
'Cause
say
there's also
okay?
gun
Let's give an
smugglers that
example
can't
real
vote.
quick here. Say you wanted to get a gun. This is maybe okay. When you were younger, say 20 in the early 20s, and you committed some kind of domestic violent
in
crime,
position.
domestic violent, and it could be anything. Could be anything from a threat, criminal threat, to anything. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? But it was a domestic violence, and it was 20 years later. But back then, we'll say you abused your spouse, whoever, or you're someone that you knew, or whatever, or some kind of just something. Do you think that they still should have a right to buy a gun Say if it was 20 years later.
I think
Um,
I think it should be not just a yes or no. It should more be they have to be interviewed.
Yeah, it should be, like,
reformative.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Like
go through maybe some
It probably had to be
Rehabilitation should
taken
be
case
done.
by case, not
Yeah.
just yes or no.
maybe like see
Yeah,
a
that was definitely
caseworker
like-
where they can kind of like
Yeah.
do a little psych test on them if you want.
Like when cops
Rehabilitation
shoot
is what
people.
people do.
When cops shoot people, they have to go and do a mental evaluation
Yeah, see a
and make sure
therapist
their psychological
and be cleared.
is in contact. Yeah,
Okay.
to make sure there's no trauma or anything like that.
So
Yeah,
okay.
see, with all these crimes and all these criminals that come out of prison after a few years, like 10 or 20 years, it would have to be case by case, but make sure
okay,
they go
if they're in
through
a 10 or
the
20, they're most likely a
process.
felony, and I don't
And you
think
can't own a gun
no, you
when
can't
you're a
own a gun.
felon.
I agree with that because you just don't know. It's a
Well,
felony.
no,
So,
I mean, like the petty crime criminal, like maybe a
Misdemeanors.
small robbery.
you're talking
or
about a
something.
misdemeanor.
They still do
Okay.
go to the
Should still be like you said case by case, but a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Is a small
But not
robbery
like-
a misdemeanor though?
I thought small
Yeah,
robbery is a
Depends on what
felony.
it's with.
Anything
I don't know
Is it
if I
'cause he's
trust
strong
people that would do a small robbery.
well, wait a minute. Could it
with
be like
weapons.
well, yeah, it's a robbery because if you're a weapon or something, most likely you're going to have a
That's
weapon.
That's an
There's
armed robbery.
Such thing as
And
strong arm.
Yeah. Okay.
There's such thing as strong arm
Well, no,
robbery.
there is a robberies. Like if you're robbing a house, and it's It
Yeah.
depends on how much you take. I think if you steal over 10K, then it's a felony. Under 10K, it's just a misdemeanor.
well,
But even
there's a
if you
difference
aren't armed,
there. Are
and you
you
just go
robbing
in
or are
and beat
you
a clerk's
burgling?
ass. like, I don't really
Burglarizing. That's a
trust
good. That's a
something like
that's a
that.
good one. Burglarizing, right?
Because there's a difference in that.
So,
Yes, my brain's not working because I'm trying to do a paper on Blitzkrieg and it's killing my brain.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, I got you.
So yeah,
Bombers first, tanks second, infantry third.
but definitely, if you've had any mental
More
problems,
like the misconceptions of Blitzkrieg.
mental problems throughout
Yeah.
any time during your life, you should be disqualified, maybe probably because remember, there's a lot of the deaths are actually most of the deaths of people that have a handgun or whatever are suicides.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so I think the mentality is mental. The mental thing is very big.
either suicides or murder suicides, which
Yeah,
is
well-
something that happened with a kid at our high school before.
A lot of
he
yeah.
killed
Those
us
are
and
the mass
killed
shooting ones.
themselves.
Yeah. So
These were top kids, and that's the only thing with this is even if they pass in mental eval, you still don't know the inevitable because they are top tier students. They were top tier students getting A's, having 4.0s, being in sports and everything.
I know some pretty smart kids that could be very depressed, having a bad day. Like, I don't know what they could do with a gun.
right.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, but
but
see,
like
that's just it. You're never
ended
gonna
up having
know
an
what
AK.
people's intentions are.
he ended up having an AK somewhere,
Did you know
and he shot his sister and shot himself.
the average price
That's
Of
out of
a-
high school, like a couple years ago.
the average price of an assault rifle, like the ones that were found in Paddock's room, the guy in Las Vegas, his assault rifle, $1,500 you can get one. It's basically buying a MacBook. He had handguns, were about $200. That's about the price of a Chromebook. That's how inexpensive they really are for a deadly weapon.
But there's also people who get hunting rifles for when they go hunting, and that's
Oh yeah, that was my father. So, all right, so we're gonna.
I'd send some pictures of my guns, but I don't see a channel to send pictures in.
You can
Media.
put it. Yeah, media.
I don't think you can send pictures media. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Well, I don't have
If you can,
the.
It's not giving me an option either to send pictures.
Yeah,
in media.
I think it's because
You can fix that after. I don't know what dear. Anyways, so we're gonna wrap this up because believe it or not, we've been doing this for about an hour here. So I just want to say thank you to Allie, Chris, Puffy, Taylor, Tux, Benny.
Love you, Bubba.
But
Love you, Bubba.
next
Thanks
week
for,
next week is going to be a totally different
Well, thank you,
different
Bubba.
thing. we're gonna be. It's gonna be more about me this next time. It's gonna be about. It's gonna be a
Oh,
foodie.
Bubba story?
It's gonna be a food. No, well, no. It's gonna be a foodie podcast. We're gonna be.
Oh, I'm munching on some carnitas right now, dude.
I'll give you more info later in the week on
Yeah.
what we're gonna be talking about next weekend. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone. So I guess
Well,
Second
well-
Amendment, we all agree. You know, it's a good thing for America overall. We do need to somewhat loosen up our gun control laws. That's the way I'm going to put it.
But work on it case by case.
Yeah, and again, loosen it up. But a few things need to be changed. But the overall thing is the Second Amendment is so important in our Constitution. I think that our forefathers got it right. Not understanding, how the world would change so much today, but they got the mainframe. Let's put it that way. That makes our country so great. So, once again, the Second
They
Amendment.
understood that history would repeat itself, so they're trying to prevent it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, as the Second Amendment says, a well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And I believe in that too. I don't own a gun personally, but I believe in the Second Amendment. And I think it's a good thing for America. In the long run, it will keep us safer as a whole nation. So once again, I want to say thank you to everyone. It's been great. This was a good first episode. Very happy it turned out really nice. You guys, you kept it from being the Jerry Springer deal. I love you, and we'll see you next weekend. All right, take care, everybody.
Bubba.
Bye, Bubba.
Take care,
Bye
Bubba.
bye.
Yeah, keep getting that bread, Bubba.
All right. So there you have it. Second Amendment. We had a younger audience that are participating, which is really nice because I come from a different generation where we were big on the Second Amendment, and it's good to see the younger generation still believe in it, but they have a point. We do need to make changes to make it better for all, and try to even bring down the mass shootings. I mean, you're not gonna eliminate them 100%, but if we can just get it down even further, the percentage, it would be great. But anyways, take care, and we'll see you next week. This is Bubba for Bubba's World. Good night.